Well, I'd say that my approach is a little bit of both. Everything we do is very much based in tradition. We do very few things that are not very, very firmly rooted in tradition. And in fact, in this piece, we go back to some of the oldest flamenco music. Some things that are very obscure that people no longer hear very much. They've gone out of fashion. And so I think it's very important not to limit oneself. So even in digging into this tradition, in a way we found ways to innovate because there are some of these songs and some of these dances nobody has done, or very few people have done them in recent years. So that's one way in which we innovate. And then also, I do believe that it is very important to be yourself within flamenco. Although we're always based on tradition, my teachers taught me that if you're not being yourself and you're not adding something new, there's no reason to present your work. You never want to be a copy of anybody else. So always we're looking for ways to do new and different things. And for me, my main goal is to use flamenco as a language, as a medium to tell a story or to express myself. So in some cases, however I need to do that, I'm going to get it done. And I think that some of the flamenco traditions are not really meant to be limiting. They need to be used to achieve a goal.
Okay. And so what do you mean by some of the more obscure elements or things that people aren't familiar with?
Well, for example, one of the pieces that really I'm sure seems more modern, almost like contemporary dance, to most viewers is one that is performed barefoot. The song that this is set to is called a trilla. And this is a very old trilla, Trilla, which is to thresh wheat. And so this is a very old style of song. And it goes back, I almost call it proto-flamenco, because these are these very, very old songs that people used to sing when they were in the fields doing work.
What do you call it?
It's called a trilla. Yeah, Trilla.
But what did you say after that? You called it?
Well, it's a song for threshing wheat, right? So to thresh wheat, it's, let's see how you spell thresh. Thresh. To thresh is to, when you harvest the wheat, you have to get out the grain from the rest of the plant, and so then they would put it on this big platform, and they would run a mule or a horse that was dragging this big, almost it looked like a sled almost, and that would sort of like crunch up the wheat so that then you could get the grain out. So this is a very old process. Nobody does this anymore. And so nobody sings the song anymore. And it was just a song that it has just, very few people use it. And it was something we wanted to rescue, and it was something that really totally worked with the Prophet. The Prophet has a section on work, by which he means work in the fields. And of course, I thought, well, work in the fields, what does flamenco have to say about that? And of course, you go back to these songs that they used to sing. Of course, flamenco was born, from many, agricultural people in Andalusia, who were doing this hard work every day. And so that dance and the song, to some people, I think, sounds very contemporary because it is so primitive. It doesn't look like normal flamenco. So that's one of the things I mean by rescuing an obscure piece. We also have a song that's a Sephardic song. And so the Sephardic culture was the Jewish culture that was in Spain prior to the 15th century, prior to 1492 when the Jews were expelled.
Okay.
So their music, and then they've continued outside of Spain, still speaking Spanish and speaking a language, or not speaking Spanish, speaking a language called Ladino, which is almost identical to Spanish, and taking these Spanish roots with them around the world. And so we've included one song that's a Sephardic song, and again, that's something that's at the root of flamenco music. Flamenco came from this combination of Muslim and Jewish and European influences all mixing up at the same time in the same place. So we've tried to kind of dig down a little bit and get sort of beneath modern flamenco, which has kind of been limited now to a smaller variety of music and dance, I think.
Okay, so that leads to my next question. What do you find more exciting? Do you like or do you prefer dancing in small venues or these bigger productions that you're doing now?
I think I probably prefer dancing in a small venue.
Okay.
Just because I love to see people's faces. I love to see the reaction of the crowd. And that's still something that's very important to me and very much part of what I do all the time. However, as a creative person, I love seeing the production. This production we actually did a number of times almost a year ago now. And I just was not ready to stop watching it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the imagery. I love the music to it. All the work that we put into it, I think, really came to a good result. And there's no better feeling than watching that happen on stage and really letting that take you into a different world. The world of the tablao, which is a small venue, is very personal and it's very in the moment, and I love to see the reactions from the audience. But the world of theater is just a totally different thing. The audience can just let themselves get swept away in the story that's being told in this new world that's being created, and that to me is very, very exciting.
Okay, so what's the most exciting thing about being able to take a show on the road or to a different city?
Yeah, well, the great thing is just to share it with new people who haven't seen it before. We have wonderful supporters here in Austin, and they really enjoyed the show. We also have been able to broaden our audience quite a bit in the past year.
Mm-hmm.
So last year we did 5 evenings of this production at the Long Center, and we were really able to reach a lot of people. But then it's at a certain point, Austin having a small flamenco community, and we're still a young company, it reaches a limit where people have already seen it. Well, we have people see it 2 and 3 times last year.
Okay.
So we really want to share it with more people. For the company, it's great to just be able to do it again, because I feel like, of course, every single time we present this, we get better at it, we get more out of it, and having put so much work into it, we only get as much out of the experience as possible. And particularly, take it to San Antonio, which is my hometown, is very exciting to me and a little bit stressful, because San Antonio has such a strong flamenco community. And I think even beyond that community, the population generally has such a great appreciation, not only for flamenco, but for dance and for music, that I know that they're a very informed audience, and that's going to be exciting to us.
Okay. Yeah, I saw on your website, you say that your dance studio is one of the first dance studios dedicated to flamenco in Austin, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I found that really surprising because that's just in 2010, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so is Austin a little behind on the flamenco scene, or how do you explain that?
Austin, first of all, is growing incredibly rapidly right now. But Austin, compared to San Antonio, I think always used to be really relatively a small town. And a lot of the town has been made up of people who are kind of visiting because, of course, we have the university. We have the legislature, we have the government here, and we have the university. And, certainly the town has been growing and growing and growing, and people are coming in every day from all over the world to become Austinites. So the demographic is changing very rapidly. However, I think that really Austin used to be, it has been less cosmopolitan than San Antonio. San Antonio is a larger city and an older city. I think has always been more known to people outside. I mean, touring acts would come to San Antonio and they would skip Austin. Just because San Antonio was a bigger town. And I know all the way back to the early 20th century, artistically, San Antonio's had a lot going on. And has been known, particularly with the connections to Mexico, San Antonio is really a cultural capital. And Austin has not been, and hopefully we are getting to be that way now. There's always been a few flamenco years in Austin trying to hold on, but there has never been a large flamenco community here. And why that is it's kind of hard to figure out, but definitely in San Antonio you guys enjoy a lot of support from the city and from cultural institutions that we haven't had here at all.
Okay, and maybe San Antonio is a little more traditional, maybe.
Well, I think that because in my experience, I know that in Mexico, flamenco is very respected. People know what flamenco is just because they're more tuned into Spanish culture. And it is always surprising when I go to Mexico that people, even in small towns, are somewhat familiar with flamenco. At least they know what it is. They know where it's from. They may have seen it before. But here in Texas, in many places, especially places that don't have as much Hispanic culture, people don't even know how to say the word. They've never heard of it. They don't know what country it's from. So I think that connection that San Antonio has with Hispanic arts and culture has helped flamenco grow there. And then people like I want to get her name right. I think it's Bertha Almaguer.
Okay, yeah, Parks and Recreation.
Back in the 30s, I think.
The 30s, yeah.
Who instituted the Spanish dance programs with the Parks and Recreation Department. That's been a huge help. Families like the Champions and the United families have really kept that tradition going strongly, and we've never had any group like that here in Austin.
And I remember you choreographed something for the Parks and Recreation, right? Or was it Guadalupe?
No, mine was for Guadalupe. I've worked with the Guadalupe for a number of years.
Okay, and those are two separate.
I'm trying to remember. I think I did something for them for 2 years. I did some choreographies for them 1 year, and then the next year I think I did a couple more, and I participated in their
Alma,
show.
Okay,
so that must have been 2010 and 2011, maybe.
Okay, yeah. Okay, and so I read that you traveled to Spain for several years.
I lived in Spain for a total of 5 years.
Okay, can you talk about what you learned and some of your experiences?
Sure. Well, I first went to Sevilla in 2001, and that was really an eye-opener. My Spanish got much better.
Okay.
But that was really I had been dancing flamenco for years already, but it really showed me what true flamenco was. And I was able to study with amazing artists like Faruquito and Juana Maya. and see, of course, that was kind of my education. See, all the different shows and many, many different artists, both on the large scale in theaters and then very personally, very tiny clubs, where you get to, meet people and hang out with the artists. So that was a huge eye-opener for me. And that sort of showed me the whole flamenco way of life. And then I did come back to the United States. I came back to Austin, and I married my husband, Olivia Chacón, who is our music director in Alante Flamenco. And together we went to Madrid in 2006. And we gave up our day jobs and we went to just fully immerse ourselves in flamenco, because I decided that this was what I wanted to do, and I wasn't going to mess around with day jobs. I wanted to focus 100% on flamenco, and really the only way to do that was to increase my knowledge. And so when I went to Madrid, I went there to study at Amor de Dios. I think it's called Amor de Dios Centro de Arte Flamenco. And there I was able to study with many, many amazing artists and to just spend my whole day, every day, for almost 4 years, just studying flamenco, performing. I was invited to be in the company of Cristobal Reyes, who is the uncle of Joaquin Cortez, who, of course, is one of the most famous flamenco stars. Mm-hmm. And so I spent 2 years in Cristobal's company, and we were able to tour all around Spain and Mexico and Cyprus. I was able to spend a few months dancing in Germany in a club there, in a tablao. And honestly, it was very, very hard. It was,
why do you say that?
Of course, it was wonderful, but it was very tough. And a lot of people think I was just on vacation. But no, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and very difficult work. And it was really when I made myself a dancer. I was just dancing every day, and then trying to get by, and trying to just gain new experiences all the time.
Okay.
So,
Okay, so you mentioned your husband Isai. Is that how you say his name? Okay.
Yes, that's right.
Can you tell me a little bit about some of the other performers in the group or in the company?
Sure. Well, we have in this show we have a total of 6 dancers and 6 musicians. And Alante Flamenco always is both musicians and dancers as permanent members.
So it's 12 permanent members? Okay. Okay, and is there anything, any specific...
It's actually, let me think about this. It's actually not true. We're actually 11 permanent members. We have...
11, okay.
We're shuffling around our dancers.
Okay.
Hold on. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it's true. Okay, so technically we have 5 permanent dancers, and in this show we have an extra. We have a guest dancer.
Okay. And is there anything more?
And then we have six musicians. And in fact, we have a number of artists who come from San Antonio. Amongst our dancers, Karen Vilches grew up in San Antonio, as did I.
Mm-hmm.
And then in our musicians, Luisma Ramos is one of our 2 guitarists. And he's from Spain. He's from a town near Sevilla, but he now lives in San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Chayito Champion,
right,
who is our singer, and, of course, comes from the Champion family in San Antonio.
Okay.
In addition, we have an amazing guitarist from Cuba, Jose Manuel Tejeda. He is, I'm trying to think how many years he's been here. He just came here from Cuba about 3 years ago. and he's fantastic, and we're very happy to have him. Our percussionist is Pepe Gaitan, who's from Mexico, but whom we've known for many, many years. She's an Austin musician. Any specific questions?
I think I got it.
Okay. Well, I should mention that, we were given an award last year for Best Dance Ensemble.
Okay.
By the Austin Critics Table, which I think is listed someplace on our website. But, it was given to us with the stipulation that it really went for, although it said Best Dance Ensemble, it was really for the whole group, because it's very rare, I think, for dance companies to have their own musicians all the time. Of course, it makes it hard for us, because we're a large group all the time. It makes it hard for us to travel. But for us, of course, in flamenco, it's imperative that we have our own musicians. We always use live music. We don't use recordings. And everything that they do for us is customized. All of our music is original. Some of them are adaptations or arrangements of traditional things, but they're all made for our dances. And we work very, very closely with the musicians. And in fact, we're already at work on our next production, which is called Desplazados.
Okay, I was just about to ask about that.
Yes, well, yes. We're working on Desplazados. We're really busy right now. There's a lot going on. We're working on Desplazados, which is really inspired by the experiences of all the members of our company. Because they all have fascinating histories. Many of them are either immigrants or people whose lives have been informed by moving from place to place. We're actually losing a dancer. She will be in the San Antonio production, but one of our dancers, Cara Leal, is moving to Europe, which is great. But we're losing her, and we just realized that this experience of immigration that right now is so prevalent in the media, and such a political issue, really for us is very, very personal, and each one of our members has their own story about immigration or even just displacement within their community. And so that's what Desplazados is about, and we're going to be debuting in Austin in April, and we'll be looking for a date in San Antonio.